Happy September, folks. It is a new month, and oddly enough, this is going to be the one month where I don't upload or do a pack opening because we don't have a new set on the JP server, but at least you guys in Global do. And normally I would upload these the day before the set comes out, but it's been a little bit busy lately with all kinds of events and stuff, and also just a lot of like zero news for like G and stuff, and so I kind of have been delaying some things. Also because the current set that we're in JP lasts for 2 months, I wasn't rushing the tier list either. I wanted to see everything kind of like play out throughout the Zero Championship, but today we're going to be talking about the actual new cards that have released in this set, which is set 19 if I'm not mistaken for Zero. So there's a lot of really good decks in this set, and it's genuinely a set that I do recommend pulling on. There's really not that many sets in Legion either, so it's really like kind of worth to think about which sets you want to invest into and which ones you don't. Quite a few things in this set are actually quite like tier 1 as well, like gold and shadows, and so it's definitely worth to try out a lot of different stuff. Anyway, let's stop dilly-dallying and talking. Let's take a look at the actual set. I'll also be releasing, I think tomorrow morning or so, a video talking about all the buffs that have come out in Zero JP, because quite a lot of the cards in this set actually receive buffs too, such as the Shadow Paladin Witches as well as the Pale Moon Legion. So there's quite a few things to actually talk about, but let's take a look at it, starting with OTT. Actually, I think is the first clan that got supported in this set. I think it was literally just 2 cards, so it's really not that much, but it's pretty fun. I think I did a video already on this deck as well. Pretty sure there was no grade 1s. It was just grade 2s and 3s if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so we had 2 grade 2s and a grade 3. So we had the Oracle Agent Royce. So his skill is when an attack hits a Vanguard, count almost 1, look at top 5 cards of your deck and add a grade 3 or higher to your hand. So I guess this is okay. I feel like maybe this will see some use when we go to G and letting you find your Stride Fodders a bit better. Maybe, who knows. But yeah, he's an okay card, just a generic. A lot of clans have cards like this. Then we have the Battle Sister Legion Mate, which is the pudding. When an attack hits a Vanguard, if all of your units are Battle Sisters, then you can countercharge 1 for that turn, give another unit plus 3k power. So this refers to all units on the field being Battle Sisters, not in your deck. Like you can still run Silent Tom, just not having on the field for this effect. Countercharge is really good because the new Legion is pretty counterblast expensive, so for that reason that you definitely need her on the rearguard circle quite a lot. And then finally we have the Jelly. So her effect is essentially just when you Legion with her, you counterblast 3, and for every Battle Sister in your middle column, you draw 1, and then you discard 1. And then when she attacks the Vanguard, if you have another unit in the middle column, she gains plus 3k power. So she's not that impressive. Like CB3 to draw 3, discard 1 is fine. It's good in terms of draw power, and you run quite a lot of countercharge in this deck, so it is pretty nice, but it's only on Legion and it's not even like a main phase skill. I really feel like this should have been a main phase skill, or should have been like one of the buffs that OTT got in this month in JP, but it didn't. Is this worth building? Like, is it worth building OTT for this? No, Tsukimi is still the best, but Battle Sisters are pretty fun. I did a video on them, and I think the deck is quite enjoyable, so if you do enjoy the Battle Sister playstyle, I think you'll have some good, some good fun with this as well. Alright, then of course Shadows. Ooh, this one's going to be a big one. There's a lot to talk about. A lot of stuff in Shadows got supported. Judge Bow, of course, already existed since last set. There's only one new starter, but actually this effect of it has been changed. So this one now allows you to choose which cards it calls, but it's random right now in the global. So her effect is she has resist, like most starters do, and when the boosted attack hits a Vanguard, if you're in Legion state, you can put her into the soul, and then you randomly call an Eine, Aife, Mirukura, and Meb, from, like, you randomly call 2 from among those, and the only one that has an effect is the Meb. She's a grade 0 with 4k, and basically says, when placed, if your Vanguard is a Witch, if your opponent has 2 or more grade 0 rear guards, you soul charge 1, counter charge 1. So it's it's pretty good starter, I guess, for Witches, but it got buffed in JP, so now it's a bit better because you can choose which ones you call, so you basically always want to call the Meb, and don't want to get hit by the bad random stuff, basically. All right, now I need to really think about which cards are actually new, because this is definitely not new. This is from the last set. So we have this thing, when it boosts Blaster Dark Abyss, gains 3k power. Generally not worth it. We have this witch, which is the Sekiwana. So she says, when placed in rearguard circle, if your Vanguard is a witch, if you're in Legion state, you can put retire one of your other witch rearguards, and then for that turn, your opponent's Vanguard loses 5k power. So it's pretty good in like helping to go on the beatdown side of things, but it's not that great because of intercepts, I guess. This is a 10k attacker if during your turn you have less units than your opponent, which is, I guess, does happen sometimes. There's a 10k attacker if your Vanguard is a witch, so could be run. This is when placed, if your opponent has 2 or more grade 0 rear guards, you discard 1, draw 1, so it helps to fill up drop zone for Legion. And then we have the double rare, which is the Dana. When placed, if your Vanguard is a witch, count us 2, and then choose an opponent's grade 3 or higher from the opponent's drop zone randomly, and call it to an opponent's rearguard circle where a rearguard is already on. And then the unit is a 5k power boost having grade 0 with no effects. And then the abilities of the card called by this effect do not activate if they are any like on-place abilities. So she's quite good. CB2 to basically like, you know, give them a useless card is okay. They do get, you know, the grade 3s do this a bit better, I would say, but she's still a pretty decent card, and she's a witch, so you generally want to run her because she's one of the kind of like not as bad ones, I guess. Should I say that? It kind of is, right? I've got a lot of grade 2s. Great Kalmas 2 to gain 4k is alright. This is during your turn. If your opponent has 2 or more grade 0 rear guards, gain 3k. 12k attacker, basically. This card's pretty okay. When their attack is a Vanguard, if your Vanguard is a witch, Kalmas 1, so you don't have to be in Legion. And your opponent looks at the top 5, reveal the top card of their top 5 cards of their deck, sorry I can't speak, randomly chooses a grade 3 from among them, and then calls it on an occupied rearguard circle. And the unit is a 5k power unit with a boost, and it's a grade 0 with no abilities, and any on-call abilities don't activate either. So she's quite good. I think she was a promo back in the TCG if I'm not mistaken in that rather. But it's pretty good. Kalmas 1 to kind of like give them something useless on the board is pretty good. That's like the whole playstyle of this deck, is like filling up your opponent's board with spam. Looking at Revengers though, Vanguard is a very good card. It's a Revenger, and it says when you Legion, you search your deck for grade 1 or lower Revenger and call it as rest. So this is perfect for just filling up your drop zone with Revengers to use Phantom Blaster Abyss's skill to retire them and restand. So very, very good rare, definitely necessary for the meta deck. Then we have the 10k vanilla for witches. We have the Legion mate for witches, which is the Fam. She's a 12k attacker if you have a witch Vanguard, so nothing too crazy. Then we have this grade 2, the Diadori. When she's placed, if you have a witch Vanguard, count us 2, and randomly choose a grade 3 from opponent's drop zone and call it onto an occupied rearguard circle. And as always, it's a grade 0 with 5k power and boost with no abilities, and you know, yada yada yada, the same thing as usual, right? But she's okay. CB2 to like, you basically get rid of a rearguard, which is pretty nice. Like you can call this on occupied rearguard, so you can call them on intercept rearguard circles too. I just realized how far away the camera is, so gotta zoom that in a little bit. So she's pretty okay. A really nice card is Blaster Dark Revenger Abyss. So this of course is the Legion mate for the Phantom Blaster Abyss, and he says when placed, if your Vanguard is a Revenger, count almost 1 and retire an opponent's grade 1 rearguard. So specifically grade 1, but you might be thinking, that doesn't kill intercepts, it's not that good. Well, actually, it kills Dorant and Balam, which are very annoying grade 1s for a lot of people, and so because of that, it is actually quite good. Like, it does get rid of really annoying targets, and in the future, when brawlers become good, this gets rid of Helena as well, so quite a lot of good targets. It doesn't get rid of starters, of course, but still a very good card, I would say. I think it's still very, very strong. And then now we have the grade 3s. There's the Vanilla Legion for witches, doesn't really do anything. We have this thing, the Fodla. So she actually, I think, is used in Legion, not in Legion, in Luard later on, if I remember correctly. So when she's placed on Vanguard Rearguard Circle, she's 9k power grade 3, Kalmas 1, and randomly create from outside of your deck a Eine, Aife, Mirukura, and Meb, and call 2 of them randomly from... Oh no, it doesn't actually say randomly. This one says you call them, you choose 2 from them and call them. So I'm not sure if that was also part of the buffs, but I think that is not. But yeah, I can almost want to get 2 cards. One of them being a countercharger is pretty nice, so we definitely do like that. She's just a decent card overall, just pretty decent, but I think Bad Bar Car might still be a bit better. She's there for the witch name. Then we have the double rare Revenger Legion, which is run as your heal trigger most of the time, which is the Cormac. So he legions with Mac Art, and he says when he attacks the Vanguard, if you're in Legion state, can almost want to retire 1 rear guard, one of your any rear guards, doesn't have to be Revenger, so this is how you get rid of the Sword Breakers to gain a crit. This is actually pretty useful, like when you're out of Counterblast or out of juice for the PBA, you basically go for this just to like finish the opponent sometimes. And when he attacks the Vanguard, if you have another unit in the middle column, then he gets plus 3k power. So pretty decent, pretty decent. We do like that quite a lot. You know, it's just a nice little finisher. And of course, the number one, probably one of the most sought after cards in this entire set is Phantom Blaster Abyss. So he legions with Blaster Dark Revenger Abyss, and he says once per turn, during the turn that you legioned, at the end of the battle that you attack the Vanguard, you can counterblast one, yes, one, and retire 3 Revenger Rearguards to stand this unit and draw 2. And when he attacks the Vanguard, he gains plus 2k power. So why is this better than Raging Form? Well, it's pretty simple. It's a pretty easy cost, and you also keep the power on him if you check triggers and put them on him in the first battle, which is also very nice. But it does have to be the turn that you Legion, so if you like Legion, use the ability, the next turn you have to re-ride if you want to use it again. So you can't really like sit on him the way you can with like Think Saver and stuff. So he's a very, very good card, and especially with Mordred, this powers up your whole board really well, and you can swing for many times, you know, Blaster Dark, Revenger, take out the opponent's intercepts and stuff like that. It's just really good overall. Like, Final Blaster Abyss is a fantastic card, and arguably one of the reasons people even roll on this set in general, so that's definitely a big sell here. Then the Witches, again, these were changed now. They, as you can see, this cost count was 2, so it did get buffed in JP, but in Global, it's still the old skill. So her old skill was, so she Legions with Femme, the 12k attacker, and when you Legion, you count plus 3 and retire one of your Witch Rearguards. And if you do, your opponent looks at top 10 cards of their deck and then chooses 2 grade 3s randomly from among them and calls them to occupied rearguard circles. And then those units become you know, grade 0s with 5k power and boost, and their abilities don't activate. So this got buffed in JP. Look forward to tomorrow's video to find out what that buff is. Her second ability is unchanged though. Once per turn, if your opponent has 2 or more grade 0 rearguards, you can discard 1 card with the same name as one of your Vanguards. Sorry, not discard. You have to retire a rearguard with the same name as one of your Vanguards to draw 2 cards. So very witch-like. I mean, the main is a witch, so keep that in mind. The deck itself is fine. I think now maybe with the buffs it'll be a little bit better, but as you can see, I am like lacking very hard in some departments. So not exactly, you know, not exactly doing too good on these. We have the Rias, who also got buffed, so this one is pretty important. I think it's just her last skill, which now has the CC clause. We're gonna just like cut it at that sentence. But so she Legions with the Diadori, the double rare, and says when she Legions for that turn, your opponent's Vanguard loses 5k power. If they have 2 or more grade 0 rearguards, then it loses 10k instead. So minus 10k power is pretty good on the Vanguard, but of course it's not on the rearguard. It doesn't take out intercepts, but of course you can take out intercepts by, you know, calling grade 0s on top of them, so you can still run them down with your 3 attacks that you have otherwise. And once per turn, count plus 2 and retire a Witch Rearguard to make your opponent look at the top 5 cards of their deck and randomly call a grade 0 on an occupied circle, blah 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 blah, usual stuff. And now it has a buff as well, which is, you know, look forward to tomorrow to see what that buff is if you don't know it already. But witches are okay. Like, being able to kind of like get rid of your opponent's intercepts with the abilities is pretty nice, and then you can like run them down in the face because, you know, they lose power from your abilities, so it's easier to hit with your rear guards and stuff. But overall, Revengers are just way better. So if you want to play meta, like if you're low on shadow materials, like pick Revengers. Honestly, they're definitely the right call. All right, now for probably a lot of people's favorite segment. You know, all the Gold Paladin players are rejoicing because Bluish Flames are finally here, or are they? Is kind of the question I'm asking myself at this point. So Bluish Flames are, you know, a very popular archetype, and they become quite decent. Like, they're very good right now in Zero, but in the second set of support, they kind of are not as good, but it's like a completely different build, so it's much more fresh and exciting to play actually in an interesting way like that. So let's talk about the new stuff. I'm pretty sure this one came out a while ago, but let's talk about the new starters, right? So first, when you Legion, gain 5k. We've seen these in every clan. This guy, when your other rearguard is placed from your deck, if you're in Legion state, this guy gains 3k. So every time you call something, it's pretty okay. And finally, this guy, if you have 5 or more Liberator units, he gains plus 3k. So he's an AK booster, kind of like the Jewel Knight one, so that's okay. But of course, the best starter is yet to come, so look forward to that in the future, not for the time being though. Alright, let's look at the other new cards here. It's mostly just commons and rares, right? So this guy says when he boosts the Vanguard, if you're in Legion state, gain 4k power. Okay, then this guy is a 10k attacker on Vanguard Circle, and for a Rearguard Circle, if you have 4 or more Liberator units. Then this guy is when placed from deck, if you're in Legion state, gain 5k, so 12k booster / attacker is okay. Countless 1 gain 1k is bad. This guy is when placed if you have 5 or more Liberator units, so you can discard 1, draw 1. It's okay if you want to fill up your drop zone, but you definitely have better ways of doing that. When it attacks Soul Blast 1, gain 3k. If you need to Soul Blast a bunch, but you already do that enough in this deck too. Then once per turn, when your other Liberator Rearguard is placed from your deck, you can discard 1, draw 1. So it's actually not too bad. You know, a little cycle there, but it's once per turn only, so keep that in mind. Oh wait, no, that card is not out yet. This and this isn't out yet. My bad, I got carried away. These are going to be out later. We'll talk about those in a few months, so look forward to that in the future. All right, let's go to the grade 2s. Damn, almost got carried away there. All right, so we have this thing. During your turn, if you're in Legion state, gain 4k, so 12k attacker. During your turn, if you have 4 more Liberator units, gain 3k, another 12k attacker. Then this is when placed from deck, if you're in Legion state, gain 5k, so 14k attacker. Wow, they're evolving. When attacks the Vanguard and the attack hits, if you're in Legion state, combats 1, draw 1. We've seen this in quite a lot of different clans, so that's become quite common. This guy, the Tora Herun, so he is when placed from deck, if you're in Legion state for that turn, 2 of your other units gain plus 3k, so he can make other things 12k attackers. Nah, he's okay. 10k attacker for Liberators, another one. Yes, another one. He has a Legion. This guy got nerfed from the TCG. This used to be a free ability, but now it costs counterblast 1. So Lawful Trumpeter says, when you Legion counterblast 1, look at the top 4 cards of your deck and call a Liberator from among them. So this used to be free, no counterblast, but now unfortunately it does cost counterblast. So not as good as it used to be. Definitely not as good as it used to be. And finally, Mr. Aglovale. So of course he's available in rank reward as well, but he's definitely a beautiful boy. And his skill is, when placed on Rearguard Circle, if your Vanguard is a Liberator, counterblast 1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck and call a Liberator from among them to an empty Rearguard Circle. So this card is really good. Like, this is going to be a staple in Liberators for a very long time, just because it's like a free way to like fill up your board with intercepts and essentially just like have really strong early aggro, and also just like have cards that like are intercepts, then they go to the drop zone, you Legion them back, and you're good, right? It's like early Legion setup, and just in general, CB1 for like a kind of like a pick and choosy top deck call is pretty good on a grade 2 body, so he's very good. Aglovale definitely is a big reason why the clan is quite good throughout Legion. And then of course, let's take a look at the grade 3s here. So we have quite a few commons, I think. Yeah, we have quite a few commons. When attacks Vanguard, Soul Boss 1, gain 3k. Yeah, whatever. This is when you have like 5 or more cards, like rearguards with different names, count almost 1 to gain 10k. Yeah, okay. This is on attack, almost 1, gain 3k. This is on the trial deck. This is the rare Legion, so just generic rare Legion, but it's a Liberator if that matters. Then this is when ridden, Soul Boss 1, almost 1 to search your deck for a Percival and add it to your hand. And then when it attacks the Vanguard on Vanguard Circle, gain 2k. So it's just a Percival searcher. This is the Coil. So when you Legion, almost 2 and discard a card with the same name as one of your Vanguards, look at top 4, call 2 of them, and for that turn they get plus 5k. And when it attacks the Vanguard, gain 2k. So CB2 discard, like Persona Blast basically, to call 2 is alright. It's okay. Honestly, it's not that hot. I remember this was run for a little bit, I think. It was a triple rare in TCG, I remember, for some reason, but it was like a rare. It was a triple rare in JP, but it was a rare in English for some reason. So, I mean, I think that's pretty reflective on how good this card is, to be honest. Then we have Prominence Core. So this guy is, of course, new V-Series arrival if you play the TCG, but he Legions with Aglovale, and he says, when your rearguard is placed from your deck that has the same name as one of your Vanguards, if you're in Legion state for that turn, gain 3k power and a crit. And then the second skill is, once per turn, almost 1, retire a Liberator rearguard. So look at the top 4 cards of your deck and call a Liberator from among them. So he isn't really that great, because he's basically just like, you know, the idea is that you spam Aglovales and Prominence Cores on Rearguard Circle, and you gain a bunch of crit, and you one-shot your opponent, or you take out their PGs. But honestly speaking, it's hard to pull off, and it takes a lot of costs, and it's just all there to get PG'd. So it's really not that worth it overall. Like, you're better off just kind of like swinging with Gancelot 4 times, and that's about it for the time being. But of course, the actual amazing stride is Percival. So he's also Liberator, and he Legions with Aglovale as well. And when you Legion, you look at the top 4 cards of your deck and call a Liberator from among them to Rearguard Circle. And when he attacks the Vanguard, he gains plus 2k power. So he might not seem like much, but he is an on Legion free Superior Call. And there's not that many free Superior Calls outside of like Star Call, or Star Rain, I think it is. Yeah, Star Rain. So there's not that many free Superior Calls, and he's definitely one of them. So when you're kind of low on counterblast, so you want to just like, you have one CB open, you want to fish for that BBL to retire the opponent's front row, he's pretty good, right? He's good, but you have to keep rewriting him to keep re-legioning, because his skill is only on Legion. And of course, in the future, you'll also get Mr. Prominence Glare, so look forward to that in the coming sets. Alright, so we've covered 3 of the clans, but we still have 3 more. Luckily, 2 of them have very little support, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you can be the judge of that for yourselves. I guess we can look at DP next. I just go in, like, you know, descending order. So DP got the Metalborg archetype, which was very meta back in the TCG, but sadly, it's a bit hard to port it to the T20. Like, it's a lot about like reaching certain power thresholds to like draw cards and have guard restrict, and like it's pretty good, but I think it falls off pretty hard after this set. So if you're a DP fan, it's fun and it'll stay good. But if you're not, and you think it's as meta as it used to be in TCG, sadly, that's going to be a bit of a disappointment, I think. So first we have this guy. When you Legion, gain 5k. same as every clan. Then we have the main star that's actually used, which is the Roko Battler. When you can put him to the soul, and then basically for that turn give you Vanguard plus 4k, but if you're in Legion state, you give your Vanguard plus 4k again, so it gives plus 8, which helps to reach the power thresholds that are oftentimes 30k power, which when you're in Legion you're 20, so you still need, you know, like 8k from this, and then maybe, you know, a boost or something to finish it off. And of course he has resist too, which is also a big reason why we play him. The other one is the Metalborg Black Boy, so he is Calmas 2, and you have to put 4 Metalborg Rearguards into your soul to search your deck for a card or a Vanguard that legions with your grade 2 Vanguard and ride it, and then choose the card, the grade 2, and legion with it, and then draw 2. So it's kind of like a Goyusha, but it's nowhere near as good, unfortunately, because yeah, like it forces legion, which you can of course achieve even when you're going first and on turn 2, which is pretty cool, but you need to play so many Metalborgs. There's really not that many Metalborgs because, like, you know, there's quite a few, but a lot of them aren't that great, so yeah, it's okay. Then we have this guy. When placed, soul boss 1, give another unit plus 5k. Not too bad. A nice way to, you know, empty out your soul, fill up your drop zone for Legion. That's a big struggle this deck has, actually, so it's actually not too bad. There's a 10k booster when you boost the Vanguard if you're in Legion state, so this was actually played for a bit. Alright, then we have this guy. He's a 10k attacker if you have a Metalborg Vanguard in the front row rearguard circle. This is Mist Ghost, a very good grid 1. When placed on rear, Calmas 1, give your Vanguard plus 4k, and if you're in Legion state, give your Vanguard another plus 4k. So he's another really good enabler to reach that 30k power threshold, which is very, very bueno. And then finally we have this guy, the Yunbot. He's very good. He's really, really good. When he's placed on rearguard circle, if your Vanguard is a Metalborg, Calmas 1 for that turn, give your Vanguard the skill. When the attack hits a Vanguard, you can draw 1, and if you're in Legion state, countercharge 1. So he makes up the cost for the effect, but keep in mind that with Laurel, you can hit with your Vanguard twice, which is pretty cool, like if your opponent doesn't have more than 1 intercept. So you can actually do counterblast 1 to countercharge 1 and draw 2, which is pretty good. But keep in mind this skill doesn't require your Vanguard to be in Legion, so you can actually call this down on like turn 1, turn 2 if you can attack, and just like counterblast 1 to draw, right? Counterblast 1 to draw. You don't have to be in Legion state to get the draw, it's just for the actual countercharge, so don't be afraid to call this early, because you honestly don't counterblast that much in this deck outside of like the power-up effect, and even then they're not that necessary half the time, so honestly don't be afraid of using this card. It's really, really good. Alright, then we have this thing. If you're in Legion state, gain 4k, not that great. This guy's quite good though. This is the Russell Blizzard, that's his name. When placed on rearguard circle, Calmas 1, give your Vanguard plus 4k, and if you're in Legion state, give another plus 4k, so it's the same as Miskos, but as a grade 2, so it's pretty nice. 12k attacker for Metalborgs, which is also a Legion mate, so it is pretty good. 10k vanilla exists as well. And then of course we have the Urbuster, which is the main Legion mate for our primary Legion, which is Sinbuster. He says when you Legion for that turn, your Vanguard gains plus 4k power and the following ability. When he attacks a Vanguard, you can choose an opponent's rearguard and retire it. So this is pretty cool because you can have 2 of him out on the field and then Legion to give your Vanguard plus 8k and the skill to pop 2 rearguards when the Vanguard attacks the opponent's Vanguard. So you basically take out 2 of their back rows, which is pretty nice. Like if you're playing against like golds or shadows, that's going to take out the Dorant or the clone, so that's also very, very nice. So he's overall a really good card, and just that plus 4k is free. Like that's a free ability, doesn't cost any counterblast, so that's why I mean like you generally don't struggle to reach the power thresholds too much because you use Urbuster for that kind of purpose as well. So it's really, really good, definitely very nice. And then the grade 3s, we have the Root Sandstorm. When he attacks the Vanguard, soul blast 1, gain 3k. I made this joke back when this card first came out, I think. I'm pretty sure I made that joke in a set analysis. Damn, it's been a while. Then there's the generic Legion, but it is a Metalborg, so there's that. They did put the Valengrader early. This was originally released in G, and he says Soul Blast 1, Calmas 1 to search your deck for a card with the Legion ability and ride it, and for that turn your Van gains plus 3k power. So it's pretty good, lets you set up. But I also really like the rearguard circle ability, which says if your Vanguard is a Metalborg, you Soul Blast 1 to gain plus 2k. So this isn't once per turn, so you actually empty out your soul with this ability and actually just get to the 4 cards in Legion, in drop zone to Legion, which is quite good. I think that's actually quite nice. So he's definitely a pretty good card, especially if playing pure Metalborgs. Then we have the Dryon. He Legions with the 12k attacker, and when he attacks the Vanguard, if you're in Legion state, and if his power is 30k or higher, which can include the boost, then for that battle he gains plus 1 crit and the following ability. When the attack hits anything, well, yes, it has to attack Vanguard, so just when the attack hits, you can choose the opponent's rearguard and retire it. And when he attacks the Vanguard, if you have another unit in the middle column, he gains plus 3k power, so that helps helps to reach that 30k threshold. And I mean, +1 crit is really cool because with Daikaiser you can actually like threaten them at 3 with this, which is quite nice. It's no guard restrict, but popping rear guards and having a crit is pretty cool too. And then finally we have the Sin Buster, who legions with Buster, and he says when he attacks the Vanguard, if you're in Legion state and if his power is 30k or higher, including boosts, then for that battle, when your opponent would guard with a Sentinel, they have to randomly discard a grade 3 or higher from their hand, and if they don't, then they cannot Sentinel. So of course, this is pretty huge because with Daikaiser combined, you actually ask them to drop 3 cards, which is pretty cool. But of course, it's not as great as it was in the TCG. You know, the guard restrict is cool, but you don't have like inherent crit the way that the Dryon does, so you kind of have to like break right over Daikaiser to have it, and sometimes it might take too long because his second ability is really nice, which says when he attacks the Vanguard, if he has 20k power or more, including a boost, you draw 1. And this doesn't have to be in Legion either, so you can like ride him, power him up, boost him. If he reaches 20, you draw an extra card, which is of course really, really good. Like, card draw is amazing. So for that reason, like, Sin Buster is quite good, and I think the deck is fairly decent, but sadly not as insane as it was in the TCG. Or it wasn't insane in TCG, but it was just like very good. Alright, final 2 clans are Dark Irregulars and Pale Moon. There's really not much for these 2 clans in this set. I think it's just like a couple grade 2s and a couple grade 3s, and that's it. Oh, not even, it's just 1 grade 2, which is this guy. So this is the Izaya. So during your main phase, when your card is put into your soul, if you're in Legion state, gain 3k power. So he's like a Doreen the Thruster, but a grade 2, so that's okay, I guess. It's pretty alright. Not that great, TBH. Then we have 2 legions, right? We have 2 different legions. We have this guy, the Hadaru, who legions with Izaya, and says when he attacks, if you're in Legion state, if your soul is 6 or more, for that battle gain 5k, and if your soul is 10 or more, then for that turn, 2 of your units gain plus 5k. And once per turn, you can put a grade 3 or higher from your soul to the drop zone to soul charge 2. So it lets you set up for the soul pretty well to give that power buff, but overall this feels like a very budget legion. It was a promo in TCG, it wasn't that great either. Then we have the Irregulars. So he is also a legion with Izaya, and he says when he attacks the Vanguard, if you're in Legion state, if you have 6 or more soul, count plus 2, choose 2 of your opponent's rear guards and retire them. If you have 10 or more soul, then you retire 1 more. Doesn't retire intercepts though, which is kind of unfortunate, so it's okay. It retires back row. And then once per turn, you can discard a card. You can take a card that has the same name as one of your Vanguards from your soul into the drop zone to soul charge 5. So if you want a turbo soul charge, that second ability is actually not too bad, so you could use him for that, but that's about it. The real good card, I guess, if you want to say that, in DI this set is Astaroth. Like, this card is actually pretty decent. It's Amon support, and he legions with Amon, and he says when you're in Legion state, for every 10 cards in your soul, he gains a crit. So reaching that first extra crit is pretty easy. Reaching the second one is also not that hard, actually, because you can replenish your deck all the time with like stuff like Chariot. So it's kind of like the rebirth of Reiji, but you have to be in Legion. And when your opponent's rear guard is retired by one of your card's abilities, if you have another unit in the middle column with Amon in its name, you soul charge 3. So that's a really good way to turbo soul charge, because you can use Amon's ability to retire opponent's rear guards and then just like soul charge 3, soul charge 3, soul charge 3, and then you get the 20 soul for the plus 2 crits. So it's actually not too bad. I did DifferentFight on this already, which I think was surprisingly good. You know, there's some cool cards from the past that come up in that, so definitely worth checking out, I would say. And finally, Pale Moon got its legs chopped off in this set. Unfortunately, got really bad support somehow. So this wasn't even that bad in the TCG. It's just somehow in 0. It's terrible. So you have the Barking Sky Tiger. When your other rear guard is placed from your soul, if you're in Legion state, for that turn gain 3k. So he's like the lion for, you know, for Silver Thorns, like this one, but generic, I guess. But you have to be in Legion, so keep that in mind. And then the grade 3, we have, I think we also got this, right? We got the, like, quote-unquote, like, Limit Break card, the Bunny Queen Beast Tamer. So Limit Break 4 once per turn, count plus 2, and for each of your Beast Tamer, or this is like the kanji for Beast Tamer. So like, for example, Marichka, she's like a Silverthorn Beast Tamer, but they write it in kanji in Japanese. So for each of your Beast Tamer units, you can choose a card from your soul and call it, which is fine, I guess. It's okay. And when ridden, count plus 1 and search your deck for any card you want and put it into your soul. That's actually not too bad. It's like Trapeze's setup, but you don't really do much when you're sitting on her, so there's that. And then we have, of course, the Cracking Beast Tamer, which is the Legion for Pale Moon, which unfortunately has a pretty sad nerf. So she used to be count plus 2, soul charge 2 to call a bunch of stuff from your soul. So she legions with Barking Sky Tiger, and she says when you legion, count plus 3. Yes, she was buffed to count plus 2 now, but she originally says count plus 3 to call 3 cards from your soul. Yeah, that's that's something. That's something. And then she says, when your rearguard is placed from your soul, gain 3k power. So that second ability allows you to kind of like use it with something like, what's the tortoise called again? The like triple rare grade 2, like this thing, the Dreamy Fortress. Like you can use it with Dreamy Fortress to gain power in your opponent's turn, I guess, but that's about it, because the second ability doesn't say during your turn. But yeah, this Legion honestly isn't that great. You can kind of like use it with the Braid Cryad and Alice, I guess, but man, just pretty disappointing, really not as good as people had hoped it would have been. So yeah, that's it for this set. A bit of a late set analysis, but as we don't have a pack opening today, I hope it's still okay for you guys. But maybe you can watch this before you pull and see what's actually good, or if you want to just confirm what's actually in this set, you know, in general, then here you go. There's your video. So yeah, tomorrow we'll be taking a look at all the buffs that have come to 0 and kind of talk about which ones feel impactful, which ones don't, and so it should be a pretty good time. I'm still working through the deck and fights of the last set, so you can look forward to that. Tier list should be coming this week as well, so there's a lot of 0 content this week, so look forward to it. But yeah, other than that, that's gonna be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked the video, leave a like. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel because it does help a lot. I also stream pretty regularly on Twitch as well, so make sure you check that out. Link in the description below. But anyway, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.